I saw a $900 charge on our joint account from a jewelry store, and when I asked my husband, he said it wasn't for me. That was on a Tuesday morning while I was checking our bank balance before work. I was sitting at our kitchen table with my coffee getting cold, staring at the transaction on my phone screen. $900 at Brilliant Jewelers downtown, processed the day before. My heart started racing because our anniversary wasn't for another 3 months, and my birthday had already passed. When I showed him the charge, Kevin barely looked up from his cereal bowl. "Oh, that? Yeah, it's not for you," he said, taking another spoonful of Lucky Charms like he hadn't just dropped a bomb on our morning routine. I asked what he meant, and he just shrugged and said it was for work stuff. Work stuff at a jewelry store? That made 0 sense since he's an accountant at a tax firm. I kept pushing for an answer, but he got all defensive and said I was being paranoid and controlling. He grabbed his briefcase and left for work 20 minutes early, which he never does. Usually he scrolls through his phone until the last possible minute, then rushes out the door complaining about traffic. The whole day at my job at the bank, I couldn't concentrate. I kept thinking about that charge and how weird Kevin was acting. During my lunch break, I drove to Brilliant Jewelers. The store was fancy, the kind with security cameras everywhere and jewelry displays that cost more than our mortgage payment. I walked up to the counter and asked the woman working there if she remembered a purchase yesterday for $900. She looked at me suspiciously at first, but when I explained I was checking on a joint account charge, she pulled up their system. "Oh yes," she said. "Beautiful engagement ring." The gentleman was very specific about the style, said his girlfriend loved vintage settings. My stomach dropped. Girlfriend. I managed to ask what the guy looked like, and her description matched Kevin perfectly. Tall, brown hair, that stupid goatee he thinks makes him look distinguished. She even mentioned he was wearing a blue tie with little anchors on it, which was the exact tie I bought him last Christmas. I somehow made it through the rest of my workday without completely falling apart. When Kevin got home that evening, he was in an unusually good mood, humming while he opened a beer and asking about my day like nothing had happened. I decided to test him. I suggested we go out to dinner somewhere nice this weekend, maybe celebrate us being together for 6 years. He got this panicked look on his face and said he was really busy at work lately, lots of overtime coming up, probably wouldn't have time for dates for a while. Then he quickly changed the subject to asking if we needed groceries. That's when I knew for sure something was going on. Over the next few days, I started paying attention to things I'd been ignoring. Kevin had been working late a lot recently, always texting someone during dinner, and he'd started going to the gym every Tuesday and Thursday night, which was weird because he'd never shown interest in working out before. He also bought new cologne and started dressing better for work. Friday night, he told me he had to work late again. I waited an hour after he left, then drove to his office building. His car wasn't in the parking lot. I felt like one of those crazy wives from TV shows, but I couldn't stop myself. I drove around downtown and found his car parked outside Romano's, this romantic Italian restaurant we'd never been to. I sat in my car across the street for 20 minutes, feeling sick to my stomach. Then I saw them through the window. Kevin was sitting at a corner table with some blonde woman I'd never seen before. She was wearing what looked like an expensive dress, and they were holding hands across the table. When she moved her left hand to pick up her wine glass, I could see something sparkling on her ring finger. That's when everything clicked. The $900 charge, the secret phone calls, the gym memberships, all those late nights at work. My husband of 6 years had bought an engagement ring for another woman and was planning to propose to her while still married to me. I drove home and packed a bag. I took half the money from our savings account and booked a hotel room for the weekend. When Kevin got home that night and found my note on the kitchen table, his phone started blowing up with calls and texts. I turned off my phone and spent the weekend figuring out my next move. Monday morning, I called a divorce lawyer. Kevin tried calling me at work, showed up at my sister's house where I was staying, even sent flowers to my office. But every time he tried to explain, all I could think about was him holding that woman's hand and planning a future with her while lying to my face about working late. The divorce was final 3 months later.